was awesome to talk to Reverend Dr. Pamela Anderson from San Francisco about all things drag and supporting the drag community, the trans community, especially in religious spaces, in churches and in places that may have caused harm to them before. It's so important to embrace everybody. So it was a great conversation. I really loved talking to her.
Yeah, talk about diversity. She has so many amazing stories to share about things, what she's come through herself and her own community and the work that she does. But listen in, because there's a lot of places that you could go and attend and participate, not only with her, but with the Presbyterian Church.
Yeah, and one more thing that you're going to hear about is a summer camp in Lake Tahoe for LGBTQIA plus kids.
The Zephyr
Teens, high school, yes. This is an amazing opportunity, and they need kids. They've got openings. It's free. They're going to take these kids to camp in a safe space. So if you have a kid who is in the gender non-conforming LGBTQIA plus community, or you know someone and you'd like to get them there, there's going to be a link shared. Go to that link and sign them up. Get them up into the woods, into the lake, into the high Sierra for an amazing time to just be themselves in a safe space.
The world is a lot right now. Are you feeling it? We all need new tools to help us walk through the chaos with grace, ease, and compassion for each other and for ourselves. In this podcast, you'll hear from parents, educators, and other experts who can bring perspective to the monumental job of parenting. It's time to level up and be warriors for our kids and our communities. This is the Warrior Parent Podcast. I'm Marci Mitchell.
And I'm Debbie DeMano. As parents, we understand that it really does take a village to raise our kids. We hope that this podcast serves to create and support that community for you. Join us as we discuss and practice our core tools, which are proven mind-body techniques that can be used by anyone to improve your life on a daily basis.
Welcome back to the Warrior Parent Podcast. I'm excited today because we are speaking with Reverend Dr. Pamela Anderson, and we have been trying to get this interview done for several weeks, and lots of stuff's been coming up. She's been incredibly busy and traveling, but we got her here, and let me tell you a little bit about her. She is the interim minister at Lakeside Presbyterian Church in San Francisco, and she's an active in the life of the LGBTQIA plus community in San Francisco and Sacramento. Pamela has been an ordained minister for over 30 years and has served churches throughout California, New Jersey, Australia, and she's hosted an online Burning Man church during the pandemic. She's been an international preacher, teacher, professor of religion. Additionally, she's an activist and has been an organizer for the state of California with the Poor People's Campaign. In her off time, Pamela is a security guard at High Rock Security, goes to Burning Man, is a photographer, and travels to Australia. Pamela is an ardent supporter of the trans community, loves a great drag show, and will be the first woman and bio drag artist to preside over the Eucharist at the annual Drag Eucharist on Sunday, June 22nd at the Castro in San Francisco. Happy Pride, y'all, and we want to hear about all this good stuff. So welcome, Reverend Dr. Pamela. We're so glad to have you here.
Hello.
I have to say, that is the wildest intro I think I have ever heard.
Hey, you win. You win.
Yeah, yay.
I win.
I know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't even know where to start. I mean, first of all, being a Presbyterian minister, I mean, I grew up in Midwest Minnesota at a Lutheran church, and there was no discussion of pride or LGBTQ. And so in my mind, I'm wondering like how you bring all these pieces of your life together. So give us a little background on how you came to be.
You got here.
Be a little more focused with your with the question.
In a nutshell. In a nutshell.
So, how do I do it? Well, it's, I'm a part of a denomination that fully supports the LGBTQIA plus community, and so one of the things that has happened for me as I've gotten, later on in my career is that, I've said, people kept saying, oh, we are so grateful that you're an ally, you're an ally to everyone. Mm-hmm. And I finally had to go, y'all, I'm not an ally. I'm part of the flag. And one of the things I realized is, because I happen to be married to a man, I've had the privilege of hiding. And so I know that my story would have been very different had it been with someone else. And so I realized, oh, this is a justice issue just to show up. And so, I'm the B in the LGBTQIA plus. And so, it's also through my own child who's part of the community as well, that, and also the youth of today, because, if we remember, right, like we would never talk about this,
No,
fear of everything. So
no.
it's got to the point of like, I'm done, like here it is. And
Yes.
so even like for the first time with this job, I was like so brave because I was sort of like done with ministry. So you say, how do you incorporate all? You just go, I'm done. And like I'm out and everything. But then this church, reached out to me and I just kept saying, it was the easiest job interview ever. Don't hire me. Don't hire me. I get arrested. Don't hire me. I go pregnant. Don't hire me. Oh, and we're, we have the LGBTQI plus community. I'm like, oh, and I just said, well, I won't go anywhere, any church that doesn't fully support the community because I'm a part of the community and I've never shared that with a committee ever. And I just said, and if that's a problem, then genuinely don't hire me. And I really mean
Wow.
it. So,
Wow.
and they hired me. Easiest job interview, so. So yeah, so that's something I think it's just trying to be your authentic self.
Yes.
Ways
Yes.
Yeah.
show up.
Yeah.
Are you originally from California, or was it New Jersey, or you've got a few places, or was it Australia? Where did
Yeah,
you?
I mean, it's a fine question, so military brat. So my dad,
Okay.
Air Force, right? So I was born
Mhm.
in South Dakota, then moved to Louisiana when I was little, but predominantly California, and then went out to New Jersey and then served churches in Australia. So I've, worked there. And then my daughter now lives in Australia. I'm in Sydney. So
Oh.
I go back quite often.
Yeah.
Anyway, just, already doing that. And a fun fact was that in 2018, Australia was much later with marrying same-sex couples. And I was one of 3 clergy to marry the first gay couple in a church in Australia ever. So
Oh, that's
Oh.
amazing.
at my
What year was that?
2018 at St. Michael's Uniting Church in Melbourne.
Wow. So
Yeah,
that's
that-
fairly recently then.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a
Wow.
little bit after us. Well,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I definitely want to hear about the drag Eucharist that you have coming up. That's a new one for me. So yeah, what's that about?
Well, who doesn't love a good drag show, right? So I'll just give you a little bit of a background. Is that, I just sort of felt like, oh, I'm really into like my activism and all this, and I'm really showing up. And then I realized, pretty much in 2017, I was like, oh, I really need to show up. I thought out there. And I realized, oh my, you're just scratching the surface. So what I would do is I'd go out there. Here, I'll just pull this out. I would
Okay,
you have
we're
to have
here.
your signs, show and tell. So I'd be
Ah.
out there with this, because you have the trolls
Beautiful.
there, right? So you have the
Yeah.
trolls out there telling everyone that they're going to hell and all that
Yep.
stuff.
Yes.
And
Yep, they were
so-
just out at Sacramento at Pride.
I know,
Walk
and I would
right
have been
back.
there because I'm usually the one that's there, but I had to
Yeah.
preach in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I always show up for them, right? So, but I'll be doing Pride here in San Francisco. But what happens is they're there, and it's like if they're there, then we need to show up. They're going to show up. They're organized, right? And they have the microphone. Whoever has that, the microphone has a louder voice. And I'm like, I'm done with this, And as clergy, we need to show up. So I start wearing my robes, going out there and trolling the trolls, right? So, and then I, met some drag queens and, with my sign and all that stuff. So I've been like really big in the drag community here. And a friend of mine, he and we met at Burning Man. And so as part of the camp Religious AF. And so it's a bunch of clergy. So we're out there on the playa and, we bring, the Eucharist out there. And he saw what I was doing kind of like with drag ministry, drag things in Sacramento, and there's big pride things here. And so he leads a drag Eucharist at the Castro. And this year he asked me, and I always go, and I'm out there with my robes, with this, my sign, and I'm like the shortest one there, because they have these gorgeous drag queens.
Yes. And the heels and the hair and
Like, kind of tiny. And then my friend asked me last year, and I was really surprised. And he said, Pamela, I'd like for you to preside over the Eucharist next year in drag. And he followed up and I said, yeah. So I'm really excited. So that's this Sunday, June
Wow.
2nd at the Castro. And I'm at their first woman and their first bio artist, meaning I'm cisgender as a woman and will be dressing up as a woman. So do you want to hear my drag name?
I do.
Yeah.
I very much do.
It's gonna be great, right? So my default world name is Reverend Dr. Pamela Anderson. So of course you get like lots of comments, but you're not forgotten. So I thought, okay, that's my default world name, Reverend Dr. Pamela Anderson, and I thought I'm gonna be on point with branding. So I'm going to do the red bathing suit and I'm going to get like a huge big, and Apple Adams, one of the best drag queens in Sacramento, is coming to San Francisco to do my makeup.
Wonderful.
My drag name is Pamela A. Menderson.
Oh, perfect.
Isn't that great, right? So,
that's great.
Yeah, super, super honored. And I don't take it lightly that I've been gifted.
Offered that. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
As I was saying, I was out at Pride this weekend because my center has a booth there. We're a non-denominational spiritual center, the Imani Center. I want to say a few things about that. Having the booth there is wonderful because we set up a chair and we have a banner that kind of says God loves this person, and they sit in the chair and then it's a photo op. But one thing I love is there are many churches out there, many spiritual centers out there saying yes, you belong. And right across from us was another one, and I don't remember the name of it, crossing down a little, but they had a sign that you could stand in front of that said God's favorite queer and had a big arrow pointing, and people were standing in front of it. So cute. So I love to see that. I love to see the churches saying, hey, you are absolutely welcome and you absolutely are you matter in your divine emanation of spirit, or whatever wording they're using. So important. And you'll see a lot of drag at Sac Pride. That's the shows are drag and that's really fun. There's performers, but also I met some drag queens who came in, and I want to get the name right because you might be familiar with them. I took a picture of the badge because I wanted to make sure that
I know pretty much.
they're ministering basically to the community.
Right.
And one of the things that this particular person said, and here it is, they are called Capital City Sisters.
Oh,
and do you know them?
Yeah.
So one of the things that this particular person was saying was, I show up as wild as possible. So this person had a beard, full makeup, a wild outfit, lots of the colors, and
this is a perpetual indulgence.
Yes, so he was or she, I didn't ask their pronouns, but this person was saying, I show up to be as wild and as weird as possible so that everyone here sees me and says, oh, it's okay. I can be myself. I can show up in whatever way. And that's just so important. And so it's like putting your feet in. It's like walking the walk, not just saying, yes, you're welcome, but showing up and saying, look at me. And I'm happy and I'm joyful and I'm demonstrating how to love myself. And I want you to do that too. And it's so important.
I've worked closely with the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. So
yes,
I'm wondering if it was Ova de Rainbow or Audrey Hartburn that you were working with. For the last 10 years, once again, I've been so honored to be asked to pretty much be the presiding minister with the Transgender Day of Remembrance service that has happened at the cathedral in Sacramento. And I used to work there, and I had like an adult series, and we did a class on Trans 101 so people could be in conversation to understand things. Just when someone's cisgendered, they can go, I don't understand this. And it's like, because you don't have gender dysphoria, that's not what's happening for you. But other people are really experiencing this. And what's so sad is so often when people don't understand it, they think it's wrong. That's not the case at all, right?
Yeah.
Just be grateful you're not. There is this thing of, and so let's have compassion for that. And as a result of what's happening in the trans community is for them to experience violence and, murder for being their authentic selves. So I've been the one to hold space been asked to come back every year, and the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence come every year, and so that's how I've built that friendship and relationship, and it's very, very powerful what they are doing in the community, and that's also how Ebony Harper and I have,
Yes.
and so
Well, isn't that the issue that we're having? Like, let's just cut to the chase. Like, this is really about people's fears, right?
Right.
And just a lack of understanding.
Right.
And just having an open mind, right? And so
Right.
that's why you're here today having this conversation, so those people can perhaps listen and understand that there's
Right.
nothing to be afraid of, right? It's
just,
Yeah.
right. And
I
just, the being that it's Pride Month, right? I think even people are like, oh, like I don't even know what that is, and why do they do that, and all that sort of thing. And so I've heard many people describe it as just simply being inclusion of everyone, however they show up. Right? Like you don't have to be something else. You get to be yourself, however that is. So
showing up authentically.
yeah. So if you think about it in those simple terms, then what does anyone have to be afraid of?
Well, what I find particularly with the transgender community is I am so incredibly inspired and in awe of here you are in a country, in a world where, so often people don't want you around, or like I said, with the violence or the things that happen. And it's just so sad. And yet the trans community still has the courage and the strength to show up, be their authentic selves, because there is no other choice. And it's
right.
just
They didn't just roll out of bed like that. Going, hey, I hope I'm born, with dysphoria. That's not how it happens.
Who asked that?
Right.
Right.
And this is what we say in the Poor People's Campaign, is that everyone has a right to live, and everyone has a right to love, and everyone has a right to be. So
Yes.
just do this,
Yeah. And you don't have to earn that. You don't have to show, you don't have to like, oh, I work 8 hours a day, so I deserve to have a house, or I do this, I do that. Everybody deserves that, just because we are, just because we exist, because we're here. We wouldn't be here if we didn't deserve life and a good life. One thing I want to say about what's going on, and the irony to me of people who are having a, don't tread on me flag, or saying, I want freedom, 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 but then they want to control the way this whole group of people show up. And admittedly, it's a very small percentage. So we take, less 1% of the population. We say, this is the problem. So we make them a scapegoat, and we have to stop them from just being themselves, because it's not what we see as normal. So first of all, how is that freedom? How is that don't tread on me? Is it just don't tread on me as long as you do it the way I think? Or do I really mean don't tread on me, allow freedom? And then the main thing is, it's all a distraction for the fleecing of America when you say trans people are the problem, gay people are the problem, and you take this small percentage and say this is a problem. It's a distraction while they're, giving tax breaks to the super rich and taking away services. They're keeping you angry, and they're othering us when we're all us. There is no other. And that blows my mind.
Exactly. Have some compassion, just put up your worldview a little bit, like, oh, this is real.
Hey, we just wanted to take a quick moment to tell you about something very exciting that Debbie and I and our team have been working on for literally years. And that is our Cour Tools app, which is now available at the Google Play Store and at the Apple Store. And you can sign up for it now, and you will get access to all the tools we've been talking about on the podcast.
And if you're an early adopter of Cour Tools, you can get a VIP price for $49 for a lifetime. That's
lifetime.
That's
Buy it once, and we'll keep updating it too.
Yes. So we're super excited about this. Go to Apple Store, go to Google Play, and purchase it now.
Cour Tools, COUR, capital TOOLS.
Go get it.
So what happened was Ebony had reached out to me asking for us to connect, because I know a lot of drag performers, and so I reached out to a lot of people, and then Amelia Need More said that she would like to come. And the way that I know Amelia is because the drag community, whom I love and adore, they call me, Pastor Pam or PP, and there was a competition, the Max Drag competition, where you had the makeover challenge. And for like a year, they were trying to get me to be a part of it. And then finally, a year ago, I got to be a part of it, where like on RuPaul's Drag Race, you do the makeover. So
Yeah.
I got connected with Amelia Need More. And so because she's a meal you need more. And so my drag name with her for that performance was May I Have More. And and I loved that people said, we were, you kind of like say what your thing is together, and it says this mother-daughter duo. And I heard someone say, mother? Like I was so young. I'm like, "Ah, yes, I am." And so but Amelia, she was like one of the first people I thought of, and was the only trans person in that competition. So that was really powerful.
Yeah.
And when things happened in November, I called Amelia to check on her, make sure she was okay. Just letting you know,
Yeah.
thinking about you. And this is what she said to me. She was so grateful that I called, and she said, I need to go to church.
Mm.
So then when I heard you needed someone, I reached
Yeah.
out to Amelia, and that's how that
Yes.
happened. So I want to hear, how did it go? So
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So she was fantastic. She and the community was very receptive. So, I came up with this idea, I'm always pushing the envelope a little. So I'm like, I'm gonna bring a drag queen because I run the Sunday experience. That's my job, director of the Sunday experience. So I bring in the speakers, bring in the music. I said, I want to bring a drag queen in for Pride. And so, but then as it got closer, I didn't ask the board. I was like, I'm not asking permission. I'm just doing this. So as it got closer, I started to think, God, I don't want anyone, I don't want, and this is not our community, but you just never know. It's an older community and we're out in El Dorado County and it is very
Right,
Republican, very red. I was like, I do
right.
not want anyone, if there's someone who's not okay with this, I don't want them showing up because I want her to feel nothing but love. So I did announce it 2 weeks prior, a couple times. I said, I'm bringing a drag performer for it's going to be amazing. And so they showed up. They were so joyful. They loved her. They went to her afterwards to say how great she was, how beautiful. So it was lovely. And I do feel like she was touched a little. We had a wonderful speaker, or all our speakers, I think, are wonderful. One of our ministers, newly ordained, is Reverend Lucian Baker, and he spoke, and he just gave a great message. And it's very inclusive and loving. And how can you show up in the world? So I feel like she was touched. Everybody received her the way I wanted. She was beautiful. Her heels were this big and
That's
she's
right.
dancing back and forth. And I was like standing there, like ready to catch her because personally I would be on my face, but she did great. And as I said, I mentioned during the service, she said, this is the first time I've been in a house of God in a long time. And I think it's time to come back. And it was beautiful. So
Right.
yes. So I hope we'll see her back. I told her you were always welcome here. I know it's a bit of a drive for her. It's about a half an hour, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was lovely. And I'm so grateful that you introduced her to us. It was a beautiful
Oh,
experience.
that's great. I'm so glad
Yeah.
it was so positive all around. So
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
yay.
Yay.
Brave woman.
It's
Yeah.
it's heartbreaking. Marci and I were telling you earlier about the fact that we have this nonprofit organization. We have this app to help humans essentially with their mental wellness. And so we were given a grant this year to help the teens, the veterans, and the trans community. And
Mhm.
so we set out at the beginning of the year and we have this thing that we wanted to do. And, we have struggled to help them because of this fear. And
Yeah.
like we're all scared for them. But even Marci, who has, a transgender son, they're still afraid of us, like, yeah, I'm not really sure, just a lot of things going on. But meanwhile,
Yeah.
they're taking their hormones away. I mean, so it's
Right.
not
Right.
just that. They're just trying to survive in this
Yeah.
world
Right.
right now. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
And so, and a part of that is like our youth are, then cutting themselves or hurting themselves or contemplating
Yes.
suicide or committing suicide. So we got to show up. So when it's all the more, like even though I am cisgendered, you better believe I'm going to show up for my beautiful, Ebony, and
Yes.
I'm going to march in a trans march alongside her.
Yeah.
And show up for her. And
Yes.
even though it is not my issue, it is my issue because
Yeah.
somebody's hurting my people.
It's a human issue.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
somebody's hurting our people, and we won't be silent anymore. Once again, that's something that we say in the Poor People's Campaign. It is our issue. And
Yes.
so one of the things that I'm a part of as well is a thing that's called Kingdom Camp at at Lake Tahoe.
I saw that. I saw that.
And
Talk
that
about
is
that.
with at Lake Tahoe at Zephyr Point Presbyterian Conference Center in July. We have grants for youth, for all our queer youth, trans youth, beautiful youth. So wherever you are, we want you to come. And it's a way for our youth to be able to find assurance, rest, peace at a week up at Lake Tahoe. There's an opportunity to talk about faith matters, but it's triggering, right? Because
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
religion has been abusive, and for all those who are watching, if you've been hurt by the church or institution or religion, I am so sorry. On behalf of the institution, I want to say, please, you're perfect. You're perfect and
Yes.
beautiful just the way you are. So what happens up at Lake Tahoe is that they get to come, have a time of fellowship and fun, and then I'm the person that gets the drag performers together. So then
That's great.
a big drag show at the end.
Uh-huh.
What's great is that the drag performers do a makeup tutorial. I have
That's awesome.
had
I think I could use that
I know. I
actually.
was going to say we want to be invited. Can we
Right.
come?
I have Mercury Rising once again, one of the greats in Sacramento. Mercury Rising faking it. So I have a drag king and a drag queen, and my daughter does bio drag, and she was there, and she does goth. So all they do this makeup tutorial, and then they do a
Yes.
big drag show at night. This thing.
Fantastic.
And what I love is, how when you go to clubs, you do dollar bills, but here the kids write notes of affirmation.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
Like,
beautiful.
awesome.
performers. It's amazing. Yeah.
So tell me again, what's that called? Name that camp again.
Kingdom Camp, KIN-DOM, Kingdom Camp
Kingdom.
at
Okay.
Zephyr Point Presbyterian Conference Center.
And
So,
do you know, are there still spaces available
yeah.
if
Yes,
someone's
yes, yes,
Okay. So if
yes,
somebody's interested, if someone's listening and says, I want to send my kid, how
yes.
do they find out? Where do they go?
At zephyrpoint.org. Zephyr Point.
Is that
Okay.
So
So
even
we'll
if you
make sure
Google
you've shared
Zephyr
that. We'll make
Point
sure we
Presbyterian Conference
share
Center.
that. Yeah, we'll share
Yeah.
that in our notes.
Yeah.
That's fantastic because camps are expensive. And if you are a gender non-conforming kid
Right.
showing
Totally
up at a
safe.
traditional camp,
Totally
especially,
safe.
yes,
And
yes, that's
there's
what you need. You need,
bathrooms and
yes, a
all of
safe
that.
space to show
Safe
up.
space they can do. And if they want to explore their faith, totally fine. Workshops are available. Nothing is required. But if
That's
you need to
beautiful.
come and, relax.
Just have fun, be in nature. Because one of the things that Debbie and I talk about with our core tools is how calming nature can be and getting your feet in the sand, in the ground, in the
Right.
water. All of these things are
Right.
able to fill you to give you
And
that sense.
this Presbyterian Conference Center, it is
Yeah.
the only religious center that is literally on the lake at Lake Tahoe.
Oh,
Yeah, I
lovely.
was gonna
On the
say, yeah,
water.
and Zephyr Cove
It's
is
so beautiful.
fabulous. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's something we would definitely love to take part in,
yeah.
show up, help in any way we can. So if they're looking for volunteers, boy, we'd love to help with that. We'd love to bring the app. The grant that we've been working on, we had a grant that we were awarded this year, and our intention with it and what we wrote into the grant was to serve 3 communities: veterans,
Right.
teens, and the trans community. And that's where
Right.
we connected with Ebony, and we were going to be serving Transcends California. Of course, the bottom fell out between when we wrote that and this election, and then the trans community, as we've said, is in utter overwhelm and they're being attacked. And so we
Right.
weren't able to serve in that way because they just can't, right now, they're just trying to survive. They can't,
Right.
institute a
Right.
new app, which we
And
get.
right. And
Yeah.
if all y'all, we need to check on our trans siblings.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
call them because,
Yes.
they're hurting,
They're not okay
they're not
because
okay.
the world is telling them they're not okay.
Exactly.
And yeah, we need to be there for them. So this, if there's any way we could show up to help with that, we would absolutely love to do it. And I really want to make sure people hear that if you are is it up to 18 or what's the age
Yeah,
range?
I think it's like, through high school. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
So
it's
if you are or or you have trans youth
sure.
somewhere in, I guess Northern
Yeah,
California or somewhere where you can get to this amazing camp,
yeah,
go to that website
yeah,
and
for sure.
zephyrpoint.org and
Where
yes,
they want kids. They want more and more and more
ugh,
kids.
I love
Yeah,
that so
we're
much.
trying to get
I
that out.
love that.
Yeah,
So important.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think we might be out of time, but I
As
am
always.
pretty sure Dr. Anderson is going to be back to have more discussions
Yes.
with us. We'd love
Yeah.
to hear more about your work and what's going on out there
Yeah.
in the community and how other people can participate with you and support you.
Yeah,
And we're
come to the
grateful
Eucharist,
for your time. Yes.
drag Eucharist, go to the, Kingdom Camp. There's,
Yes.
Gender Day of Remembrance at the Cathedral in Sacramento in November.
Yes.
There's
Yeah, and we have Gender Day of Remembrance ceremonies here in Sacramento as well. I've taken my son to those. Just
Yeah,
it's very heartfelt and
yeah.
important to remember and honor the heroes.
Streets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
the streets.
Thank you so much. We really
Thank you.
appreciate having you here.
Thanks for your good work.
Stories too.
Hey, Warrior Moms. As we started this podcast, we had determined that part of what we were going to do is to create a community. So we have decided to take it to another level, and we have started our own Facebook community in addition to the Warrior Parent podcast, and it's called
From Chaos to Calm, a sanctuary for moms. Here's what it looks like. It's on Facebook right now. Please go and join it. And just to let you know, we're going to create our Blue Sky accounts right now. We're getting prepared as we watch this weird stuff go on in America. So we may be shifting the whole group to Blue Sky. Just be aware that we got you. You're going to start here. If this turns out to be not a safe place anymore on Facebook, then we will shift over. But what we're creating is a safe space where moms can show up and get information, get support, talk to each other about the things you're going through with your kids, the things you went through with your kids, maybe get some advice from moms, but also other experts. We're going to invite all of our guests and experts to join the group. I hope you will too. This is a place where you can show up and be seen and be heard and be safe. Mom's got you.
Nobody trusts anyone more than moms. So let's do this.
So, Debbie, can you believe that we have been doing this podcast for 2 years as of this week?
It has been a little bit of a run, I'll have to say. And of course, this was not either of our ideas, right? It was my daughter said, Mom, you should have a podcast. So it's usually when she asks me to do something, I kind of listen. So I'm super happy that we did. Like I feel like for myself personally, like this might be the first time that I actually feel like I have a voice and I have a say in something.
Yes.
Like,
Isn't that so true? Isn't that so true? And as women, I feel like when we're little girls, when we were little girls, at least, hopefully it's not like this anymore, but when we were little girls, there was still kind of this idea of being sweet and being quiet and being, don't make the boys are being loud. See how nicely Marci's sitting over there. And so that was what we were given our praise for was
yeah.
being sweet and quiet. And yeah, I for sure feel like I didn't have a voice for a long time. And you're right. It's like a culmination of, coming into a certain time in your life when you're just going to say what you need to say now because, you just don't care anymore, or you've got something to say, or you're running out of time. And this has been an amazing way to do that.
Yeah, I feel like, in lieu of everything that's sort of going on in the world, this is my way of showing up and doing what the best I can with everything I've learned. You think I've been on this planet for 61 years. There probably are a few things that I could share on my journey,
Yeah.
because it has not exactly been an easy one. But I think the more I do it, the more empowered and the more emboldened I feel to make sure I say something. Like, this is not just Debbie and Marci showing up to do a podcast and doing some marketing. This is Marci and Debbie showing up because they're standing in their power and they have something really important to say. And that feels good.
That does feel good. One of my favorite things that's come out of doing this podcast are the connections and the people we've met. And, when we started, we had some ideas of people we knew who we wanted to talk to, but kind of quickly we were like, we're running out of people. And then we were really fortunate that, I don't know, one of us found the podcast collaborative, just a place where people were networking, where you could actually go out and say, we're looking to discuss this topic. And so we started finding people there, and then we shared our podcast there and said, here's what we're talking about. We're talking about mental health and mental wellness and tools for bringing yourself back to center. And people were excited about that. And then that brought in a bunch of people, amazing people from literally all over the world. We have talked to people in Australia and England and all across America and Canada. And we just keep adding countries and places. But then those people connected us with other people. And it's just been amazing. The people who are showing up to talk from their hearts authentically about their experiences, what they're doing to show up, how their hearts were broken, how they rose strong, how they got up again, as Brene Brown would say, how they landed flat on their face, but they rose strong, they got back up again. That has been such an honor and a blessing in my life.
Yeah, it's been so expansive for me. Like, in what is happening in the world, I think it wants everyone to feel scared and feel contracted right now, but I feel just the opposite. I feel expanded, and I also feel that I have some hope, honestly, for the new generations of parents. Some of these young parents that we have been witness to, who are sharing their stories about how they are using these new ways of regulating, and not only regulating their kids, because we know it's always an inside job, but the way that they're learning how to take responsibility and ownership for their own emotions. So they're getting that figured out, and then they're doing that alongside their children, which to me feels like, if we could figure that out, if we could figure out how to have every parent learn those skills, I believe that we will have changed a generation of human beings, honestly, an entire generation.
Absolutely.
And
That
those
is
going
so
forward.
true.
Right?
Yeah, because hurt people hurt people. If you are dysregulated, if you are traumatized, if you're in that state of fight or flight and you don't have the tools to bring yourself to calm before you interact with the person who is most dependent on you, this little person who's learning everything from you, that's what they learn. But if you can honestly, openly, authentically say, okay, mommy needs a minute. I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. I'm having big feelings. I need to take some breaths. And then you do it and you model that. Now you're going to feel way better because you're doing it. But what an amazing gift to your child to say, people get overwhelmed, and that's okay. That's normal. And here's some things we can do to feel better.
I think the other thing that I've learned is the importance of, we talk about connection, obviously, which is what we're talking about with the emotional connection, but the community piece. Like, we have met, young people who are stepping up and stepping into their communities and supporting their communities, and realizing that's something we do so terribly in the United States of America, right? Everyone goes home and locks their doors and turns on the TV and pretends that that's the way the world is supposed to work. And it's not. It is not. We will not survive without community. And I feel like those people are inspiring me to get out and to participate and be a part of something bigger.
Yeah. That makes me think of the podcast that we have coming up this month in July with Bigfoot Judy. just to give you a little, it was a fantastic interview, but this is this person who's out there living the van life. They also build out vans, and but they are in this nomadic community, and they all show up at these different events, and they talk to each other, and they share things, and it's just amazing. It's an amazing way, a new way of living. They're living cheaper because they're not paying rent, they're not paying property taxes, but they've got their vehicles, and they're relying on each other, and it's a perfect expression of community.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great one. Make sure you catch that this month. You'll enjoy, Judy. That one's going to air on the 24th of July, so don't miss it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm ready for 3 years. What do you think?
Yeah, let's keep going. I love showing up every week with you. You are teaching me things. You are a bright light in my life. And I wouldn't be doing this without you. I wouldn't be doing it by myself. So us doing it together it was still scary in the beginning, but it wasn't so scary because I had you there with me, and I still do. And I'm grateful to you and our whole team. We have an amazing team, Justin and Laura, who help us, Sonia, who helps keep our book straight. We have a team for this, and we're a nonprofit. The podcast, you see Debbie and I, but there is a nonprofit that is behind that, which is Cour Experience, and that exists because of the brilliance of a number of women who are around us.
And those who are supporting us, as you said, to include my husband and your husband, who help to support us financially so we can do this really important work.
Yes.
So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for the past 2 years. And I'm grateful for all those people who have shown up as part of the Warrior Parent Podcast.
Yes, me too. We love you, warriors.
Thanks for listening to the Warrior Parent Podcast, which is a production of our nonprofit, Cour Experience, who also creates and distributes Cour tools. You can find us at courexperience.org. Make sure you join us next week for another informative conversation to help you and your family show up mindfully, purposefully, and joyfully with each other and in your community.
Our Core Tools platform consists of a number of proven tools and techniques that are designed to reduce stress, anxiety, and overwhelm in spite of what's going on in your world. We want to thank Samuel Hale, LLC, for sponsoring this podcast. Technical and marketing support comes from Inspire Your Brand. Our podcast editor is Justin Beeden. Opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of the hosts, the producers, or the financial supporters. I'm Debbie DeMano.
And I'm Marci Mitchell. Thanks for listening. If you resonate with the idea of creating a community to help support kids and families, won't you join us by following the podcast and sharing this episode? You can even write a review. It truly does take a village, and we appreciate you.